man. Won't somebody please, please tell me what's wrong? You just a fool.
Ike wasn't impressed, and he still wanted a man to sing the song. They took Tina's version to the record company, who loved it. Tina was in the band and a recording star. Ike changed her name to Tina Turner, and they're off.
A Fool in Love was released in July 1960 and became a big hit, placing at number 27 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart.
What's special about it is, despite how incredibly young she was, you can hear that iconic, breathy, powerful Tina Turner vocal you'd hear for the rest of her career. So that, over the top of a pop rock song of the 1960s, is a great sound.
In 1962, Tina and Ike were married in Tijuana, Mexico. As the 1960s progressed, the band's popularity continued to grow due to a rigorous touring schedule and television performances. In 1965, at a show in Los Angeles, Tina caught the attention of legendary music producer Phil Spector.
Getting involved with Phil Spector is kind of quite an amazing opportunity, and together they create this absolutely classic song, River Deep Mountain High. It still gives me goosebumps when I listen to that song today. I think it's such a great record.
When I was a little girl, I had a bright doll. Only doll I've ever owned.
He paid Ike Turner a lot of money to stay out of the studio in that process. He didn't want Ike involved at all. He did want Tina.
You can imagine Ike Turner going mad, and he was the big guy, he was the guy in charge, he was the band leader. So, yeah, I think he smashed the door down.
It was a real moment, I think, for Tina to kind of express herself without Ike there, to show what she could do and how her voice could sound in the right format.
Ike and Tina began to enjoy international acclaim, touring throughout Europe and Australia. In their home country, a slot supporting the Rolling Stones on their North American tour further raised the band's profile.
We never ever do nothing nice, easy.
In 1971, Ike and Tina released their biggest hit together, a cover of Creedence Clearwater Revival's Proud Mary.
We're gonna take the beginning of this song and we're gonna do it easy. But then we're gonna do the finish rough. It's the way we do.
We started it off very, very slowly, and it was finger ticking. And then all of a sudden, Ike and the band would come in, and they'd turn it into this great rock song.
What they did was bring a lot of personality to it. Just brings across who they are a bit more on that record. I think it's absolutely incredible.
She sort of makes it sexy, really, and sultry, which it wasn't. I mean, it's a song about a steamboat.
Ike and Tina Turner released their last major single together in 1973, Nutbush City Limits, written by Tina.
Biographical. It's about growing up in Nutbush in Tennessee, and it's her kind of take on those times.
We're starting to hear the sound that we properly associate with her now. It's very, very rocky. It sounds like almost like a Rolling Stones record in some ways. That's the first real moment you think, okay, this is Tina Turner as you recognise her.
In 1974, Tina Turner released her first solo album, the Grammy Award-nominated Tina Turns the Country On. By the mid-70s, Tina's marriage to Ike had become an abusive and volatile environment, fueled by Ike's temper and his increasing drug habits. Halfway through a tour in July 1976, Tina Turner left Ike.
As she would document in later life, the relationship with Ike was quite abusive. And after one argument too many, she escaped from it. All she had in her pockets were a few coins, less than $1, and a petrol station charge card, and she just ran off into the night.
She was in trouble. When she left Ike Turner, I think it was at the Dallas Hilton, that was a date in the middle of the tour. She was liable for the fees of all that, all the cancellations. She had a huge IRS bill.
She pretty much left that relationship with nothing but her name. She maintained her stage name, and that was the only thing she wanted from it, so she could go off and start again.
As a solo artist, Tina returned to the stage in 1977, performing in a series of shows in Las Vegas and touring small venues across the United States.
Her early albums, like Love Explosion and Rough, didn't sell very well, partially really because they weren't very good. And she found herself doing the Hollywood Squares celebrity circuit, which I think wasn't very fulfilling, but it helped pay the bills.
It must have been really hard for her, kind of going out on her own at that time and struggling for the first time.
Tina Turner knew that to appeal to a wider audience, she needed a new image. Tina sought a contract with manager Roger Davis, who agreed to take on the singer, and advised her to remodel herself as a gritty rock and roll star. In 1982, Tina would collaborate with the British production team BEF, leading to her first solo hit, a cover of Al Green's Let's Stay Together.
Started making music that people wanted to hear. I think she kind of hadn't found that. She hadn't found her way. She hadn't found her voice. This kind of soft, kind of soul sound really suited her, and it was kind of away from that kind of quite visceral early material.
It was a perfect song for her to showcase her voice, her style, and where she was then at in her career.
Now reappearing as well with the starts of her new image, what we're used to seeing now, the leather and the big hair, and suddenly everybody remembered what a fantastic recording artist she was.
She was reinvented as this kind of, as a superwoman almost, who survived through everything, was tough. It was a huge turnaround.
In 1983, Tina Turner signed a new 3-album deal with Capitol Records. Recorded in just 2 months, Tina released the album Private Dancer in the summer of 1984. The record included the #1 hit single, What's Love Got to Do With It? You must understand the touch of your hand makes my clothes react. That it's only the thrill of boy being girl of the sense of track.
What's Love Got to Do With It is Tina Turner's best-selling single, and it's pretty easy to see why. It's an emotional song, and it's identifiable, and it still has those powerful vocals over the top of it.
Something that people liked about Tina Turner at that point was this idea of experience. And What's Love Got to Do With It is a heartbreak song. But it's not someone saying, oh, woe is me. It's someone saying, well, this is life. It's like, this is life. I think that's a big appeal.
This proved to be a most enduring song. It was made for the There's this sense of moonlight. It's a very adult song. It sounds like a woman who has lived. And she had, and that came through.
Oh yes, I'm judge of this show.
Private Dancer sold over 20 million copies worldwide and won Tina 4 Grammys the following year.
Private Dancer was the album which turned Tina Turner into a global superstar.
It was the moment where she really became more of a rock mainstream singer. There was that kind of move into a very commercial sound for her, really, and that meant she was meeting a wider audience and playing a lot of live shows. People were really connecting with those as well.
We don't need to stand up, raise the face.
This was a real emergence of that new Tina Turner, also hitting at an era when guitar music and rock music was so big, and to be the leading female exponent of that made her incredibly popular and also incredibly iconic for many people as well.
In early 1985, Tina Turner embarked on a world tour in support of Private Dancer, performing to sold-out audiences worldwide. In the same year, Tina starred in the action-adventure film Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, appearing opposite Mel Gibson.
Bring him back to me, alive! We will rebuild! Those who took him, no mercy.
It's absolutely perfect for her, this strong woman. She rules this town. She's really quite, evil. She's not a very nice person, but, she's got that kind of great strong woman role thing completely down, and it's totally perfect for her.
Tina recorded 2 songs for the film soundtrack and won a Grammy for Best Female Rock Vocal Performance. In January 1988, Tina would perform at the Maracanã Stadium in Rio de Janeiro, setting a Guinness World Record for attendance, performing to around 184,000 people.
There have been big concerts, obviously. I suppose the stadium concert came along with The Who and Led Zeppelin in the 70s, but this was a different level. But that just goes to show how big she was.
This was a world record appearance for a concert, breaking one by Frank Sinatra, who had played to 181,000 at the same stadium a few years before. The concert was filmed, and it's an hour of absolute frenzy. It showed how breathtakingly, staggeringly popular this woman could be.
In 1993, a film loosely based on Tina's autobiography was released.
Was quite ambivalent about the film, what's love got to do with it. She said that she didn't want to relive it. She said that she'd already been there, she'd already had to go through that, and she didn't want to have to see that again or have to be reminded of those times.
Tina Turner was supposedly very ambivalent about what love's got to do with it, but she did do the vocals. She did teach the main actors a lot of the dance steps, so she wasn't quite as uninvolved as she claimed to be.
Encouraged by the film's success, Tina returned to the studio and in 1996 released her first full album of new material in 7 years, Wildest Dreams. The record went gold in the United States and achieved platinum status in Europe. At the turn of the century, Tina Turner released her last studio album, 24/7, led by the single When the Heartache Is Over.
24/7 wasn't worth the ending to Tina Turner's recording career. It went gold in the US, so still a commercially successful album.
I think by that point, you know, she's getting older, and I think it was probably a good time to bow out gracefully.
Tina completed a world tour in support of 24/7, which became the highest grossing tour of that year. Afterwards, Tina announced she was stepping away from the limelight.
I think she retired at that point because she felt like there were a lot of other female artists that were maybe doing similar things and she couldn't keep up with them. I'm not sure that that's true, you know. I think we still see Tina, I think they hold her kind of quite dear in their hearts. I certainly do. I feel quite a lot of affection towards her.
She lives in Switzerland. She's become a Swiss citizen. She said she very much likes the clean air in Switzerland. She has a new husband who apparently is a lot nicer to her than Ike was. And I think she feels, quite rightly, that she deserved to take it easy after all this time. She has made the greatest pop comeback ever.
In 2008, Tina Turner embarked on her first tour in nearly 8 years to mark her 50th anniversary in the business. Crowds flocked to see the star, and with her enigmatic performances, Tina showed she had lost none of her charm or talent. Tina was simply still the best.
She's a female vocalist doing this. When you compare her to other stage performers, people like the Rolling Stones, she did that bombastic, exciting stage show as a single female vocalist and held the stage as well, if not better than any of those guys.
Incredibly influential. I think you can hear her music in Beyonce, you could definitely hear it in Whitney Houston. A lot of strong, sort of powerful female artists have been kind of taking their cue from Tina.
So many young women, I think, can kind of aspire to have the career that she's had and to have the adoration that she's had.
In terms of a career path, in terms of setting out what a strong woman can do, then she has been very influential to any strong woman artist.